Daniel Cormier made a statement that Hooker and Chandler, as an undercard act to Conor McGregor versus Poirier, need to take full advantage of being on the card with Conor McGregor. And Daniel's absolutely right. And I read some of the comments of the article where Daniel made that statement. People said, well, what's the difference? I'm a little confused by the question. There's a tremendous difference. What Daniel's talking about is so many eyeballs are going to be on Conor McGregor that even if on accident, they're going to be on you, right? And that's not, obviously people want to see Chandler and Hooker fight. These are two stars. I'm talking about everybody on the card. Daniel singled those two out. Everybody on the card is in a unique opportunity for exposure. So when Daniel's talking about taking full advantage, he's talking about, yeah, there's going to be some pressure there, but make sure you come out, make sure you perform in every aspect of it, not only with the punches and the kicks. Make sure you look cool when you do it. Make sure you comb your hair before you go on TV. Make sure you have something to say when the fight is over. That's what Daniel's talking about. You're going to have the ability to influence a whole lot of people, including the casuals. You guys hear this term a lot, the casual fan, but I'm not sure because we're all so close to it. I am too. But we as a group here are so close to this that we're the hardcores. We know everything that's going on and we forget that we're the hardcores. When you talk about the casual fan, make sure you understand this. Think of it as a pie, right? The old school pie chart from high school. But of that pie, 15% is a hardcore. 15% of the audience is us. No matter what platform, we're smart enough and we care enough. We follow it close enough that we're going to know. Is this on ESPN Plus? Is it on ESPN2? Is it on Big ESPN? At what point do I switch over to pay-per-view? Is it Wednesday night? Is it Saturday night? Is it Sunday morning? We know all of those things. But we're 15%. As far as a business and an industry goes, that's not sustainable. You need to draw each time you can draw into as big of a pool of that other 85% as possible, and Conor McGregor is what represents that. Conor's not just a star because he can evoke emotion from us, the 15% of the hardcore we're going to watch anyway. For the business side of it and for the industry, you need as much of that other 85% as you can possibly get. On a night like Conor, you're going to tap into that heavily, which is what Daniel's speaking of. What Daniel's speaking to is that you go and you get your share of that 85%. The real money is in the 85%, the casual, the little old lady in Iowa is how it was explained to me. The little old lady in Iowa that would never watch fighting, but she comes across it and something makes her stop and stay and watch. That's the casual fan. And that ultimately is who you really are going to make your bread and butter on. And Daniel's fully correct. There's going to be some new eyeballs and there's going to be some new attention. We get these fighters that are so close to it, oftentimes they don't see it. I give Sandhagen a hard time. Sandhagen is a great guy from everything that I know. Sandhagen stepped on a landmine that was his own doing, and I only bring it to you because he was so out of touch with his own division. His own division. He had all of these new eyeballs on him that he could have influenced that don't know anything. They don't know who a TJ Dillashaw is. They don't know what an Aljo Sterling is. They don't even know what it is, let alone who it is. And Sandhagen informed all of them that they should be fighting for the championship in front of him. So I give Corey a hard time, but I don't mean to be a dick about it. It's just an example that you can catch on to that happened recently. You have to know what's going on, including knowing who doesn't know what's going on. This all ties back into what a hard time I've been giving fighters that have a ranking and how closely tied they are to that ranking and only want to fight guys ranked in front of them. Nobody else knows. Nobody has the foggiest idea. You were on TV in a professional atmosphere and you won or you didn't. That's what they're going to know. If you act excited to win, they're going to assume that you weren't supposed to win. If you act bothered to lose, they're going to assume you were just upset. There is a way to behave. That is why the expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words, exists. And you can't get too close to your own career. You got to stand back. I think that this is a perfect opportunity to make that title fight that night at the press conference. Every single time we've ever seen a press conference, somebody in the media doing their job will ask Dana what is next for fill in the blank. Dana has to respond the same time every single time, which is, let's see what happens, meaning I don't know. I got to go back. I got to sit down with a group of thinkers. We got to see who's healthy, who feels good, who's licensed, what the calendar looks like, and then make some phone calls and make matches. That's what he's saying when he says, let's see. I don't know. That's what he's saying. This is one of those rare times where he could know by the time he got to the press conference, right? Whoever wins between Chandler and Hooker is going to matter. Whoever wins between Khabib and Poirier is going to matter. And by the way, we got to go on the working assumption that Khabib is not coming back. And frankly, it doesn't hurt business one way or the other, even if Khabib does come back. Doesn't hurt anything. If Khabib returns to try to reclaim the champ, that's the only chance Khabib's going to get to have to be a two-time champion. To be a two-time champion, you have to have lost the belt somewhere in there. You hear these guys that try to brag, I've won the title more than anybody. I've won it 5 times. Okay, but that means that you lost it 5 times. It's one of those things that some of the greats started to try to change the rules. You remember Matt Hughes was making his, nobody could touch Matt Hughes. Matt's whipping everybody's ass. So then Matt on his own, and wisely so, there's a compliment to Matt, but on his own, inaccurately but wisely, came out and started calling himself a champion for each time that he defended the championship. So Matt became a 4-time champion. And this was starting to get reported by people. Now, that's not how sports work. You have to lose the championship to come back and get it. I'm not faulting Matt. I'm complimenting Matt, but I'm also sharing how hard it is to become a 2-time champion. You either got beat and climbed your way all the way back, which is honorable, or you're Khabib and you lost it somewhere in the paperwork. And then you came back to get it. It's one of those things. But either way, it was the only opportunity he's going to have to become a 2-time champion is if they take the damn thing from him at some point in between. Now, that's a side thought. I digress into that, but let's refocus on there is a very good chance that for the first time ever, Dana White can show up to a press conference and say he is fighting him for the title. And by the way, Dana might even have a date, right? I mean, if he can talk to these guys and the winner was pretty clear and he can kind of see, hey, nobody's hurt. They've already decompressed through the commission. They've already met with the doctors. Hey, they got no broken bones here. We got this, that. There's a chance that he could even make a date. I'm probably stretching. Even if Dana can come to a press conference and identify this fighter is fighting this fighter, it's going to be for the gold, he likely will not have a date. But just imagine if he did. I mean, that would make for a press conference kind of must-see TV. You would not want to miss that. That would be a major, major fight announcement, and we would have major, major talking points instantly. Instantly. Which then is also going to make you play through the whole division of, okay, Khabib's gone, great working assumption, where's Oliveira go? I guess the rumors of Oliveira and Gaethje are going to have to be true because they're the only players left on the board that seem to matter that are near each other in skills. See where that gets fun. Now, Poirier was weighing in on the fight, and Poirier said, I want this to be a bloody fight. I want blood within the first 60 seconds. That is a very interesting glimpse into the mindset of Poirier. Poirier said that is the only way, if this is a grimy fight and we're both hurt, and we both have to overcome and push through that pain, that is the only way to find out who the real fighter is. And even though that doesn't sound like a scenario that any of you would ever want to be in, Poirier is letting us into his mindset, and it is very interesting. And by the way, he's right, and that even carries over to life. And you may not have to bleed from the eye and have your nose crooked and broken to discover that, but he is making a very good point. Until things get hard and things get tough for your adversary, that is the only way to know who wants this the most, who is willing to push and who's willing to be in there. I don't think that Conor would offer that same assessment. I don't think Conor's going into the fight thinking, yeah, man, I want to be hurt within a minute. I want to have to dig deep. I think Conor's thinking, no, I want to protect myself. I want to touch him. I want to not get touched. I want to start closing out rounds, look for the finish, boom, go in there, shark that smells blood, and get him out of here. That's the way Conor fights, but Poirier is offering something different. And this isn't tough guy talk. If you go follow Poirier's career and you go follow his greatest moments would be against Hooker. His greatest moments would be against Gaethje. It would be against Eddie Alvarez. Those were those really great fights, but they are reminiscent of what Poirier is saying he would like to duplicate, which is 2 guys hurt. 2 guys that can exit stage left at any time and not have the audience ever looking down or questioning their heart or toughness. They've shown us more than most humans ever owe. That is when he's done his finest work. And while one of his more meaningful matches was definitely that against Max Holloway, if you want to look at his best matches, it's ones that describe what he just said he would like to duplicate against Conor. There was a book written by Coach Beasley. It's called The Perfect Match. And in the entire book, the premise is very simple, which is think of whenever you had your best performance. And that can even be, by the way, where you did not triumph. Your greatest where you performed your best can even be within defeat. But think of when that was. And then work backwards as to what happened leading into it. What did you have for breakfast that day? What were you wearing? Who did you see that day? What conversation did you have? What music, if any, did you hear on the radio? How much did you sleep the night before? How long did you spend in the shower? I mean, get as detailed as you possibly can to work back what you did. How did you warm up? Who'd you warm up with? For how long did you warm up? Break as many things as you can possibly recall, write them down, and then duplicate it. Go back and try to copy that day, that moment, and that performance as best as you possibly can. And keep it and don't ever change it until you have a better performance, and then do that thing again. I only bring that to you because I do think that that is what Poirier is explaining. That is not tough guy talk. If you go back and you look at the career of Dustin Poirier, that is when he does his finest work. He does his finest work when the house is on fire.
On the feet or on the ground, undefeated, never lost a round. Biggest arms in the city of Westland, undisputed, GOAT king of wrestling. Tito tapped, Fado quit. John Jones broke a toe and had to sit. Anderson got mauled and bashed, and the bad guy made off with a bag of cash. Oh, and by the way, let me offer this. Chael knows just how good Conor McGregor is, and he knows into all is where Kevin Lee fits, but he'll never reveal the secret to business. Uncle Chael, Uncle Chael, Uncle Chael, Iranami, Uncle Chael, Uncle Chael, Uncle Chael, the